Hello. Welcome back to Cups and Candles. Here I am making coffee with some beans that I acquired in Monterey as well from a cafe called Liminal. And yeah, quite delicious. Great way to start the day and get the trading going. Hope you enjoy the episode and learn a couple things. Back, Cups and Candles. I was unable to, well, I did actually record something last week, some updates, but I just decided not to post it for some reason. Unfortunately, the weekend prior that passed, I experienced a loss of a friend, one of my closest friends, who's also a trading friend. Was also a friend from the marketing industry that I came from. Known him for a long time, and passed away in a tragic accident. And I had to go and see him 2 days prior to him passing away in hospice. So I was not in the right state of mind in order, to record a new video and posting the updates, even though I was obviously paying attention to the markets a little bit here and there and trading a little bit, but a lot less. A realization that this gave me was that, I shouldn't spend my entire life staring at charts and screens and obsessing about the day-to-day movements of the markets, because I think that's unfortunately something that we both did a lot of, and he was stressed out a lot and spent a lot of the last years stressed out, and unfortunately, his life just ended on that note, which I think is unfortunate. So rest in peace to my homie Kevin. 39 years old, freak accident. Unfortunately fell off a bridge. As far as we know, was riding a one-wheel skateboard, and no one knows how, but managed to fall to his, not quite to his death, but eventually passed away. He survived the fall, but passed away 6-7 weeks later. Succumbed to his injuries. So, yeah, very tragic, unfortunate. However, let's move on from that. Didn't mean to start the stream off on a bad note, but let's talk about the charts, shall we? Let's start with Bitcoin and what I think is going to happen next. I'm bullish. Nothing more to say there, really. I think we're going much higher. Now, we can get rid of this. A little cluttered right now on the lower time frames. Well, let's start with the higher time frame. On the weekly, obviously, it's been up only for weeks on end. Naturally, one would assume that a bad down candle is on the way, somewhere around the corner. Sure, but probably not till we get to a significant level, and I think that would be around 115 to 120,000. Now, there's many reasons for that, but one of them, the main reason, the $150,000 level interests me, is if we go to Bitstamp chart. These crappy drawings. Go to the Bitstamp chart. We can see. Sorry, that's my dog. We can see this extension, the 6.5. So that's a potential place for a bit of chop. We might only see down back to here before higher. Who knows? We might blast right through. We'll see how respected it gets. But as you can see, this 618 was rejecting, and that led to this big drop. Right? Everyone thought it was over, and now we've gone on to make a new high. Now, this could be the next resistance. In the order books, I see a lot of people have sell orders at round numbers, so 120, 150, 155-ish. I'm of the personal belief that we get to 160 minimum, and I can explain that. I can give you reasons why, but let's just hide all of this. Okay, let's hide all of this, and I'll show you something that I discovered recently, and I never noticed this in the past, surprisingly. It's up 18%. AIXBT is this is ripping today. It's a shame because I was looking at that coin, but I never could find an entry on it. Anyway, what I noticed was a lot of these moves are one-to-one extensions. We go to the one-to-one on linear scale. So this expansion of the bottom, one-to-one, rejection. Okay. Now we take this low, one-to-one, correction. Okay. One-to-one, correction. Starting to see this? So naturally, one would probably go low to high and assume 169, 135 would be the next serious top. However, and there is confluence up there, okay, with the trend-based fib on log scale, okay, which I think previously mentioned this before. So bear in mind these are linear extensions. Now on the log scale, currently trading in the golden pocket, but we have confluence with what I call the orange pocket, the Fanta pocket, whatever you want to call it. But it's generally these two ratios, right? It's 764 to 786 extension. Right smack bang in the middle is 169, 135, this one-to-one. Now, obviously you want to be conservative. You could say, okay, we're going to take it from the point of breakout and find the weekly pivot before that, and that could be the one-to-one, right? We could say this low or this low, based off, let's say, where did price find support, right? Like if we found a fib, and we can say, okay, look, this bounced exactly off the 786 from this extension, so we could call that the low if we were trying to find a conservative target, which would then give us 153, right? So you could sort of heed caution here, but then also like be pretty certain that this is probably the next high based off that. Another way you can kind of do this is, Jesus, my dogs are going insane today. Hey, cut it out. If you see this, if you do this same move, right? So these three pivots, and then you use a linear scale, a log scale, sorry. Hide this, it's confusing. All right, and you go log scale, and you have, Jesus, if I just double click and I'll show you the settings. My goodness, I'm struggling today. But you have all the 618, 615, 1.618, etc., right? All of these on, enabled. You'll see currently the price rejected off 112, which is this 786, and is currently struggling to fight through this 110 region, which is the 764. So as you can see, those are being respected from this pivot, right? So one could assume that this is actually the low to go with because of all of the kind of the confluence here of the 786, which was interestingly enough on the linear scale. But then this log scale extension, you see, these kind of things lining up, right? So for me, that kind of makes me think, okay, it's possible that one-to-one, or the confluence up here, as you can see, if we just hide this for now, hide it's this 115. Okay, like this. But you also got this, like this particular pull. You've got this confluence, right? The 175, 172. So basically, the whole idea is price should likely get up. it's a magnet, in my opinion, to this region. And my initial target is probably going to be the my initial target is likely going to be the 1-to-1 of this, right? So this 1-to-1, 153.712. I'm gonna see what happens here. So what I'll do is set an alert and check for what happens, the reaction at that price level. But ultimately, in the more bullish case, that will be like where I'd be interested in shorting the market, you know, on a high time frame for a swing short, you know, and I'll probably start with Bitcoin and then seeing how altcoins behave, because generally what we see is Bitcoin will chop, altcoins will get a bit of love, you know, rotation of capital will come down into those levels for maybe a week or two, and then the altcoins will just nuke to zero when Bitcoin does its corrective phase, like in here, right, or in here. So yeah, I think there's still a lot of upside left in Bitcoin, and we're seeing the beginning of this rally. So I would not be shorting. I would wait till these two levels, possibly 115, but I would wait for these two levels, honestly. I just don't think 115 is going to hold, you know, much, like, unless we get a swing failure. But I don't see how that happens, right? When you've got the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 going up, and you've got Trump just announced some reserve, like a couple $2 billion they're going to put in reserve. There's a bunch of good fundamental reasons to be bullish. Okay, moving on. Coins that I'm currently long on are POPCAT and PNUT. So I posted about these in my chat, my predictions. I have a Telegram group if you're not in it. Feel free to join it. But basically my prediction was over the weekend, I thought we'd see a pump and then a dump to come touch this VWAP. Obviously that didn't happen. We got the pump, but the retracement only went as far as this 70% region, right? Which is considered like the optimal entry. And now we've bounced off. I still think price will get up to here if this continues, and likely give us a retracement before a proper breakout, just because, you know, usually these flags take more than, like, you'll get one attempt, two attempts, third attempt will reject, be like a fake out, and then you get the breakout. That's what I'm expecting for this flag pattern. And I'm expecting move up to 71, probably a pullback into this support, and then continuation up to 98 cents. Okay. So the way I'm trading this is I will be exiting here most likely, and then getting a long on the dip, which would likely be a golden pocket. And then I'll probably just hold the trade up to 98 cents. I don't think I'll mess around with this too much. I don't want to overmanage this trade. It's a bit too much like effort for what I'm trying to achieve with this trade. PNUT, similar kind of concept, but instead of it being a flag, it's more of a triangle. I took this fractal from POPCAT, from another triangle pattern, right? So I kind of expect similar. Come up, top 38 cents, come back down rapidly to get a test of 33 before a breakout. And my next target on this is 86 cents. Okay, simple stuff. Come up, tap the anchored VWAP, back test this support region up to 86. Won't be trading this section because this is a lot harder to predict if it's going to happen. It's a good chance usually the back test happens, but I'm more interested in just catching this move to build up a bit of capital, possibly taking a short trade. But ultimately, this is the trade, right? This long up into 86 cents. Obviously, I could just hold the trade and not worry about this pullback because I'm already in profit. But, you know, I could also just wait for a breakout, retest, and take that long too, right? So there's multiple potential setups here. But that's the two things that I'm interested in at the moment. But look, everything's going up. AIXBT, just looks like it's going to break. It just broke this level, I think, or it's trying to. And this actually looks really, really good. Really, really good. Like, I love these setups. You know, you've got what looks like a cup and handle, basically. And so the measured move on this would be, I mean, I wish I'd long this yesterday, but you know, you just kind of never really know. I was waiting for this 618 to hit, and it didn't happen. It started moving sooner. But you know, your measured move will be back to all-time high, previous highs, right? So you could long the breakout or the retest up into the highs, and this is a measured move of 260%. So that's pretty damn nice. If you're doing perp trades, it's nice, but you know, I'd just be careful longing right here. I would wait for either pullback to support and then go, or flip, go. Oftentimes, you know, what screwed me over is getting FOMO at resistance and trying to be the guy that pushes the price up. I would rather wait a little longer and see if we can clear this with strength. I will then place my bids at support for a long entry. Okay, so I'm gonna wait a little bit, maybe a couple more minutes, you know, maybe an hour or two, and see what happens at this level. But this is on my watch list for sure. I mean, this move, the strength today is pretty nice to see. All right. In regards to stocks, let's just go back on one of my previous videos. I mentioned I was bearish on Palantir and I sold all my Palantir, and I'm still bearish. However, my put trades didn't work out too well because I caught this move and I was up quite a bit, but and I thought, you know, it's just going to waterfall down. It just did not happen. We got this huge retracement back into resistance. And so I ended up taking an L on the puts. They were pretty profitable on the first day, you know, the initial volatility. I got a big, you know, I was up quite a bit just because the IV was so high, but then it sort of slowed down. I left it alone for a couple of days, and then this started happening, right? I didn't expect. I mean, the participants in this stock, I don't know if I'm wrong entirely on this and I should be bullish, but the retail participants on this are like pretty crazy and cultish. They really love the stock. So I don't know. It's still struggling at this extension. Now, I'm bearish unless this is flipped with strength on this stock. So I gave all my reasons in a previous video. I'm not going to go over it again. Where am I bullish on? This company. I did mention this in a previous video, but I didn't post it, I don't think. But basically, I like the chart setup, the narrative. It's an AI stock. Kind of giving similar vibes to Palantir, but obviously the market cap's much lower. So, you know, this is a $3.5 billion stock. And so this has a potential to run 10x up into this 2618 extension. If that happens, you know, it'll be trading around 35 billion-ish, okay? Which is, compared to what Palantir is trading at, which is over 200 billion, it's not crazy outrageous if the fundamentals kind of justify it. Now, there are some fundamental reasons for this. I don't have it all prepared to tell you about it, but basically they have tons of new partnerships. They've done a bunch of new acquisitions. So they're growing at a quite a fast rate. However, they aren't profitable. So that's concerning. And there has been a decent amount of insider shares being sold. Also not the greatest. However, contrarian to that, you have it being sort of not recommended on like CNBC, right? Jim Cramer hates it, this and that. To me, I like to see that for one reason, and that my head thinks, oh, he's not shelling it to retail because the big boys need the liquidity to get in. He's telling them to sell. So usually when that happens, they're selling to the guys that are accumulating bigger positions, in my my head. This is kind of how I think. Not always the case, but you know, when I see a good chart setup and then I see that CNBC or Jim Cramer is saying don't buy it, it's a crap stock, this and that. I mean, that generally indicates to me that retail is being instructed or encouraged to sell so that the bigger boys can get in with more, like they have the liquidity to enter into larger positions so that they can sell it much higher, obviously. And then the inverse is true, right? Once prices are trading much higher, then likely you will see, oh, all of a sudden this is an amazing company. You should buy it, right? Up here, so that the big boys can exit their positions when everyone's FOMOing into this once it's gone up too much. So that's kind of my thinking on this. Obviously, it's not the only data point, but the chart looks like kind of like a cup and handle as well, right? You've got this kind of cupping. Yeah, you got the handle. It has tried now several times to break out. Today was one of the attempts, and last week, I believe, on the 14th of May, there was an attempt and it faked out, came back down to retest this golden pocket. Today, it made an aggressive move up to $11 and is now kind of struggling. Now, what it looks like it's forming is an inverse headed shoulders on the daily. Okay, so you've got shoulder, head, shoulder. Break of this neckline. Break of this neckline. Then you're going to contend with this anchored view up. Once you clear that, the measured move from here to here is at least back to $21, okay? That's on the lower time frame. Higher time frame, however, and this is a swing trade slash investment for me, I believe we could get up to $125. Crazy, I know, but you know, this is kind of more of a monthly, multi-month, potentially 12 to 18 month trade idea. So this is not a short-term thing. But basically, given this is a cup and handle, right? Let's say this is the breakout. This is the move, 28. Basically want to see if it makes sense in terms of the height of the cup. If it could make this move, right? So you could say this height of this handle, this cup shape. Technically, you would measure it up to here, I think, but I'm going to go with, you know, say this high. This is a 10x move, and with cups and handles, generally you measure from the breakout point the height of the cup, essentially. And what does that give you? It directly into this golden pocket region. So, you know, this gets you to about $119. The 2618 is 128, and this 1618 of this actually hit the pull, right? This was this sort of point of sell-off. So if we get up to the 2618, which is also in confluence with this extension, if you take this high to this low, screwed that up. Take this high to this low, then we go golden pocket, log scale. You also get this lining up here, right? Which is similar to Palantir, right? You take opening range, you've got golden pocket up here, right, where it's struggling. So you see that kind of cup shape. Didn't really get the handle, it just kind of went. This was all obviously a lot more bullish and cultish, and probably the fundamentals are much better for this kind of stock, just because of the government contracts and whatnot. However, this is a AI stock and has some, you know, it has the narrative and then the partnerships, right? So if you don't know what the company does, they have technology that integrates into restaurant ordering systems, into automobiles, cars, essentially, and they're expanding at a rapid rate and integrating the technology. It's basically sound-based AI tech, kind of like a Siri, kind of like ChatGPT's voice AI that they have. However, this integrates so you can you can basically order from your you can go in your car, for example, from what I saw in the demonstrations. You can order food through your car system while you're driving, right? You can go, okay, where's the nearest McDonald's or whatever? Okay, I would like to get a Big Mac and fries, blah blah blah, and it'll place the order for you, all automated. So, which is pretty cool, and that's, I think, one of the uses. I'm sure they have more use cases in the pipeline, but they've also made a bunch of acquisitions. So if you just look that up, SoundHound AI acquisitions. And you can see they've acquired Amelia, Allset, SynQ3, these three companies. And so their last quarter showed a loss due to these acquisitions, so that makes sense. They spent a lot of money to get these three companies, but as you can see, like they're expanding and growing and acquiring stuff, so they're doing things, and it's not a dead company or just a hype stock that has no fundamentals behind it. So I do think there's potential just based off hype and narrative and the chart setup for this to do well. So I have acquired quite a large position in this. I have high confidence in this, and I guess for me, I'm not too worried because honestly, like my average is I'm probably down only like 1 or 2% on this so far, so it's not a huge deal. Once this kind of starts breaking above VWAP, I can just put my stop at entry and sleep at night and not worry, right, too much. And once this, plays out, we'll see. I just keep trailing under swing lows, and if I get stopped, I get stopped. But if I can capture this move, that'd be great. And that's kind of the idea. See, going back to AIXBT, this is why I don't long into resistance. You wait. You always want to wait for proof of it getting above, because if you had long this, you'd already be down a bit. So patience pays. So yeah, that's it. I think we can look at Ethereum real quick as well, since that's like the leader of the altcoins. I have acquired a position in the ETF on this one, the Ethereum ETF, just because I think Ethereum has underperformed so much this cycle that it's about time it gets some loving. And I think this actually goes to potentially $11,000 to $12,000 a cycle. Could it go higher? Possibly. It could go to 20, but I don't know. For me, unless Bitcoin does something insane, which could, I'm going to sort of lean more conservatively with this one, but these charts are good too. I don't know if I already got charted up. Okay. Where are we right now? A bit more data on it, more drawings. So, Ethereum has essentially found support at this golden pocket and bounced. Okay, contending with this sort of downtrend line, it looks like it's going to reclaim on it. It's going to, like, I have no doubt it's going to. Now, you could also draw this more as a pennant or a compression, right? Slight compression, which looks pretty bullish when you do that. I love drawing bullish things on my charts. You can see this confluence up here actually with this fib pull. You got a golden pocket up here. Let me just hide this for a sec. Explain this to you later. You see the golden pockets around 10, 11,000. Okay, this negative extension. So let me just hide this for now. Now. Where did we top last time? You take the listing price, $3. You take the $1,151 cycle high. You take the COVID crash low, and then you apply a golden pocket. And wow, look what happened. You have the top for last cycle, which you can see we have now contended with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. This is very, very highly likely to break in the next attempt. Okay, very, very likely. So using the same logic as I used on previous Bitcoin cycles and this Ethereum cycle, we can take this low, this high, this low. Okay, and what did we get? 10 to 11 point, almost $12,000, 10.5 to 12,000-ish, right? Give or take. So that's my opinion. I think that there's a high probability of that playing out. So I have acquired a big position in Ethereum just because I think it's going to outperform Bitcoin from here on in. All right, if we were to say take the height of this and a breakout, then that could actually get us to 20, which would be the 764. Okay, so boom, right into here, measured move of this compression. So that is also possible, right? Which is 4x from this breakout move, or from today's price, a 6.3x. Okay, and I think there's a very, very high probability of at least 10, 11k, but possibly this. And if that happens, oh boy, Pepe and Mog are going to go insane, my opinion. So, you know, those are obviously Ethereum-based meme coins, but I mean, if you get a 6.5x, okay, now let's see what the ratio is in terms of how one of these coins outperform. Have to do it the other way around. Let's do this. Log USD, USD, USD. Okay, so in terms of the outperformance, percentage-wise, MOG is up from this low 200% versus Ethereum at the moment. So ETH USD off the bottom is up 98%. Okay, MOG. Sorry, this is a complete mess. My charts, but MOG, I mean, to date is up 175%. So as you can see, there's around a 200% leverage, I guess, if you want to look at it like that, on MOG, which is an Ethereum meme coin. So if Ethereum does a 6.2x, then you're going to get 200% outperformance of that, which is a lot more than a 6x. You know, it could be a 12 to 20x. I don't know the exact math, just because a 200% move isn't actually a 2x. It's more than that. Oh, just got my alert. So we are breaking out now. So I guess you could have long that and you would have been fine. I might actually long this, so I'm going to go and do that now. And I'll turn the stream off.